In a beautiful kingdom, there lived a princess of extraordinary beauty named Snow White. Her beauty was famous far and wide, and she was even called the most beautiful person in the kingdom. But this aroused the jealousy and anger of the evil queen. The queen has a magical mirror, and she often asks the mirror, "Mirror, mirror, who is the most beautiful person in the kingdom?" The magic mirror always replies, "Queen, you are the most beautiful person in the kingdom." Snow White senses the queen's jealousy and danger, and with the help of her loyal attendants, she decides to escape from the castle. She quietly packed her bags and embarked on an unknown adventure. Snow White was walking alone in the forest. She felt scared and helpless. Suddenly, a group of wild beasts appeared in front of her, and she was so frightened that she turned and ran away. At the most critical moment, a group of cute dwarfs appeared. The 7 dwarfs warmly welcome Snow White and invite her to live in their cabin. They are kind and optimistic, and soon became good friends with Snow White. Snow White found warmth and happiness here, temporarily forgetting the queen's threat. Meanwhile, the queen still hasn't given up on getting rid of Snow White. She asked the magic mirror again, "Mirror, mirror, who is the most beautiful person in this kingdom?" The magic mirror answered this time, "Snow White. She is the most beautiful person in this kingdom." The queen's jealousy became even stronger. She decided to get rid of Snow White herself. The queen summoned the evil magician and hatched an evil plan. She ordered the magician to cast a spell to create a beautiful red apple that looked harmless on the surface, but contained poison. The queen smiled evilly, believing that Snow White would fall into the trap this time. The queen carefully prepared the disguise of an old woman. She put on a black cloak and set out with the poisoned apple to find Snow White. She said coldly, "This time, I will give her a fatal blow with my own hands." The queen brought the poisoned apple to the dwarf's hut. She pretended to be a kind old woman and claimed that she was passing by and wanted to give Snow White a gift. Snow White accepted the beautiful red apple without any suspicion of deceit. Snow White took a bite of the apple, immediately felt drowsy, and finally fell into a deep sleep. The dwarfs were heartbroken when they discovered that Snow White was not awake. They knew that this was the queen's conspiracy, but there was nothing they could do. A handsome prince heard the story of Snow White and was moved by her beauty and experiences. He decided to find Snow White, hoping to save her. The prince finally came to the dwarf's hut, and he kissed Snow White lovingly. Under the prince's affectionate kiss, Snow White slowly opened her eyes. She was surprised to find that she had been asleep for a long time. The prince told her that he was moved by her beauty and kindness, and that he would protect her from the threat of the queen. The prince and Snow White said goodbye to the dwarf and embarked on a journey to find a happy life together. They must get out of here as soon as possible, because the queen may come looking for them again. When the queen learned that Snow White had escaped, she was furious. She rushed to the magic mirror and asked angrily, "Mirror, mirror, where are they now?" The magic mirror ruthlessly replied, "They are deep in the forest far away from here, and are about to arrive at the prince's castle." The prince and Snow White are running on the rugged mountain road. They must avoid the queen's pursuers. Along the way, they overcame many obstacles, but the queen never gave up the pursuit. She said coldly, "Snow White, don't even think about escaping from my grasp." The prince and Snow White came to a mysterious magical forest. It's filled with strange creatures and magical plants. They must proceed with caution, as the queen may have laid a trap here as well. In the magic forest, they encountered various challenges that tested their courage and wisdom. They worked together and overcame one difficulty after another. Their kindness and courage touched the creatures in the forest and obtained their help. At the same time, the queen's evil deeds were finally exposed. The people of the kingdom knew the truth about her attempt to murder Snow White. Angry people stormed the castle, and the queen was arrested. She looked at the magic mirror in despair, but the magic mirror no longer answered her. The prince and Snow White came to the prince's castle, where they held a grand wedding. People from all the kingdoms came to congratulate, and everyone cheered and celebrated together. Snow White and the prince finally found happiness. They promised each other to love and protect each other forever.